Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Ross Ellis, founder and CEO of Stomp Out Bullying. My special guest today and my colleague and friend is Diana Graber. Um, Diana is an expert on digital literacy and the author of this wonderful book, Raising Humans in a Digital World. Um, she helps kids build healthy relationships with technology. She writes for and is interviewed by and speaks about technology impact upon human behavior. Her no nonsense approach comes from being an educator, media producer, academic, and most of all, a fantastic mom.
Mhm.
Before we get started, I would just like to say that if you have any comments, please feel free to ask questions at the bottom of the screen. And welcome, Diana.
Thank you for having me, Ross. It's a pleasure.
Thrilled to have you. Really thrilled. Um, I know that you developed and educated on cyber civics. It's a popular middle school digital literacy program currently being taught in schools in 42 U.S. states and internationally. And she's a regular contributor to so many outlets and she's a fabulous expert. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank
So
you.
um, why don't we start by defining, in this world of COVID, kids are on their computers constantly. And I think we should start by defining cyberbullying.
Right. And this is something important I do with the kids in the classroom because I think a lot of us sometimes misinterpret online interactions between kids. And so cyberbullying is very specifically identified by four characteristics. It's online, obviously. It's intentional. It's harmful, and it's repeated. So those are the four characteristics to look for. When you see that, you know that it's cyberbullying.
Right, right. And how is it different, similar to other cruel online behaviors such as digital drama and hate speech?
Yeah, well, I think that's an important distinction because I actually think digital drama happens a lot more than cyberbullying. Digital drama are like misunderstandings, the tiffs that kids have in real life that move online. And rather than being harmful, they're more hurtful. So that's how I characterize digital drama. And then there's this whole other genre of stuff going on that's actually, to me, even more concerning, and that's hate speech. And that's something we've really seen a rise in, particularly during COVID.
Right.
And hate speech is harmful speech that's targeted at like a group of people because of a characteristic, such as race or their gender identification. And what we're seeing a lot of, especially during COVID, is hate speech directed at Chinese
Right.
people,
Asians, yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
Correct.
Asians are no more responsible for COVID than I am or than you are. And so people really need to not say that. We are all people, and our skin is different, our race, or we look different, everything. But it is horrible what people are doing. So I really hope that you all take note of that. With so many kids at home and they're online, often unattended because the parents are either too busy or they're working or they're not around. And so there's been a huge rise in cyberbullying. You and I both know there are no numbers yet. It's too soon to do a study, but we know that there's a rise in it. What can parents do to change their dangerous online behavior for their children and anyone else?
Well, you bring up a good point. We don't have data yet, but we do have data that kids are spending, I think the latest numbers is 400% more time on screens than they do in normal life. And we know they spend an awful lot of time on screens in normal life. So kids are online. They have to be. For school, it's how they connect with their peers when they're stuck at home. And so, just do the math. If they're on screens more, they're probably engaging perhaps in things like cyberbullying more. So
Right.
we've been getting a lot of calls about this at Cyberwise, just parents wanting to know what they can do or presentation like this to help them. And so what we say is like, there's no easy answer here. I mean, number one, you have to know what your child is doing online. It's just the bottom line. Going into it, though, there's something parents can do is maybe have an agreement with their child. We offer a really good one that's a template where you can start on our Cyberwise website. But download that agreement, talk to your kids about how much time they spend online, what hours they'll be online, what will they do if they encounter cyberbullying, give them steps they can take. if someone's cruel to them online. I could tell you now. Should I jump in and tell you what we teach the kids, or should we save that?
No, we could. Yeah, we could save it or whichever.
Okay.
I mean, well, you and I both know that you don't respond to the mean behavior and you block and delete. I mean, we know that. If there's anything else that we should do, please tell us.
Yeah. So what we teach the kids in cyber civics is a 3-step response. Number 1, take stock. Take a screenshot of the evidence. Number 1. Right. Number 2, block. And that means unfollow, unfriend, block the interaction.
Even if it's your best friend.
Right. And number 3, talk to a trusted adult, to another friend that you trust. Mm-hmm. Talk to somebody about what's going on. Talk to the social media network. Report it to them.
Exactly. But never respond to a negative post, because it's just going to be like fueling the fire. If you pour gasoline and you light a match, poof, it's going to go big. How do we teach children about cyberbullying?
Well, we do it in a very specific way in Cyber Civics. We spend the whole first year of the curriculum focused on digital citizenship. And so we get to cyberbullying to the end of the year. And that's because we want kids to understand what it means to be part of a community, what your responsibilities are as a community member, your digital reputation, which is so important. And then we build all these skills. When we finally get to cyberbullying, we talk to the kids about empathy first. We talk about how a lot of times people will hide behind a screen, and behind every screen is a real person with real feelings. Once we lay that foundation, we start talking to the kids about what do you do when you see cyberbullying, how do you respond, and most importantly, how to be an upstander.
Right.
And so important. That's something that I was pretty shocked a lot of kids aren't taught.
Well, they are, and they will be. Things are happening within the space. Kids need to realize that even if their best friend is cyberbullying them, not to respond, because they're really not your best friend if they're doing that, you know? So I think it's really important for them to know. Kids are going to be home all summer. What do parents do? We want to keep them safe online, but yet they're already spending so much time online. A lot of kids right now are not going to class. They're online anyway. So being that the internet is just going to blow up all summer, what do we do?
Well, you know what I'm finding, because I'm actually teaching kids on Zoom while we're on vacation on quarantine right now. And so what I'm hearing from the kids is they're burning out. I mean, you know, like they are discovering that screens aren't all they're cracked up to be, that they're missing real life. And so I would urge parents to take advantage of that opportunity to maybe structure time where your kids are offline. And this is kind of a thing that I offer in my book, but sit down with your kids and have them make a list of 100 like things they would love to do if there were no screens. It's like their bucket list. And then carve out time during the day where you go, like, screens are off, and the kid will say, I'm so bored, what do I do? You say, hey, go to your bucket list, let's start checking those things off.
Great idea, I love it.
Yeah, and the thing I like about that is it's because the kids came up with the ideas by themselves, you know, what they would love to do. And so it's not like the parent saying, you're off your computer, you have to do this. It's like the kids. And when I've done this, I do this as a homework assignment with my students. And at first they roll their eyes like, how ridiculous is this? But they do it and they come back to school and they're like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Graber, I baked a cake all by myself for the first time, you know?
Right.
So
yeah. And the other thing is, because they're stuck in the house, or maybe they're lucky enough to have a backyard. I don't, because I'm in New York City. But they could start a journal, you know? Yeah. I think it's so cool to start journaling. And what would be really cool, because this is such an unprecedented time, for kids to journal and look back at it like maybe 5 or 10 years and see where they were,
right,
where they are in 5 or 10 years.
Exactly. That's a funny point to bring up, though, because when I think of kids journaling, they're going to do it online, right?
No, that's a journal book. Where's my journal book? It's here somewhere, but yeah, right here.
Right.
So no, they should really do it in a journal book, because I know that my penmanship is so horrible because I'm on the computer all the time, and I have beautiful penmanship. So let's get away from the computer. We talked about this, seeing levels of bullying, cyberbullying increasing. They're not staying the same. And I believe that over the summer it's going to get worse. What are your feelings?
Well, I'm an internal optimist, so I hope that they don't.
Right.
And I think there's ways that we can preempt that by just being aware of what our kids are doing online. So I think I cannot urge parents enough. I know we are busy with our own work and keeping in touch with our own peer group online, but
Right.
we have to remember when we're doing that, there may be a child alone on their own phone or device. And there's a lot of stuff happening there that we absolutely need to be aware of. And I think the number one tip I would give parents, and Ross, you and I have talked about this a lot, is to be aware of the age restrictions on social media apps.
Exactly.
Every app out there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, require kids to be at least 13 years of age, sometimes older, to use them for a good reason. Until they're 13, kids do not have the capacity to do ethical thinking. And those apps require that you have very good ethical thinking skills, or else it's going to damage your digital reputation if you do something dumb.
Right.
So it's so simple. Like, keep your younger kids off those apps. They're just not ready.
I have a friend, when I said to her, why is she on? She's too, all her friends are on there. And I must have said like my mother, because I said, well, if her friend told her to jump off a roof, would she? I mean, the kids can't handle what's going on social media when they're under 13. It's too much.
It's asking them to do something their brains are not ready to do.
Right. They're not mature enough. Right. Speaking of, there were reports this morning here in the news that there is quite a bit of child abuse going on Zoom. I recommend to all parents that if you're a young child, especially, I mean, all ages, but under 13, if they're on Zoom, please sit with them. You're not spying, you're saving them, because you just don't know. A predator can pretend to be their age. So please, please watch that. Did you want to add to that?
Well, I would also say for those of us who set up Zoom meetings, I mean, Zoom has some really excellent things that you can do to ensure that your meetings are safe.
Right.
Require a password, obviously. Setting up a waiting room so that you let in people into your meeting. So, I would really urge those who don't let your kids set up, Zoom meetings. You set it up for them,
Exactly. And what role should social media platforms play in keeping kids safe from cyberbullying? I know Instagram has been really great with their AI, that's artificial intelligence, in case someone doesn't know that. What else can you talk about to that?
Well, all the social media networks are definitely getting better as far as screening cyberbullying. What I would love for them to do, I mean, this is like pie in the sky, right? Yeah. I would love it when a kid signs up for a social media network. It's almost like they have to take a driver's ed test, and for them to know what to do if they are cyberbullied. For them to say, go here. This is how you report it. This is what the button you click. This is what you say. And I teach that in class in cyber civics, but not every kid knows what to do if and when they're cyberbullied or they observe someone else being cyberbullied.
Exactly. And also, too, I mean, if you see someone else being cyberbullied, you can report it. The reporting mechanisms on some of the social media platforms, unfortunately, are not the best. I'm hoping and praying that they get better. But if you can't get to them, let your kids tell them, you're not spying, but you need to know so you can help them.
Right. And Ross, you brought up another good point, the hoping and praying. Well, that's a good thing to do. It's not enough.
Right.
Parents should contact the social media networks their children use and ask them to do better.
Yes. Absolutely.
Parents have got to speak up. These are products, Well, and so our kids are the consumers. We need to speak up and say, I want you to have better mechanisms to report cyberbullying.
Right. I mean, just like people go out and protest about things, you can protest to the social media companies about what's going on and what you want to see.
Right.
There are some great companies out there. A few are just not doing what we'd like them to do, and it's our hope that they will, and soon. Especially now, there are just, I don't even know how many kids are online right now. I was talking to
sorry, Ross, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying what really concerns me, I mean, of course, cyberbullying is a concern. Digital drama is a concern. This hate speech thing, it is out of control. That's the thing we get the most phone calls from schools. And You know, it's almost become like normalized, unfortunately, and a lot of it emanates from gaming, where it's a lot of violent, cruel speech, and parents often aren't hearing what kids are saying in their video games, and a lot of that bleeds over, unfortunately, into the classroom. We have no classrooms right now, so it's bleeding over into other social media networks, group chats, that kind of thing, and that's sad. We have to help our kids do better.
We need to. If a parent references a certain race, no, that's totally the wrong thing to do for your child. You need to be a role model for your child, and you don't want kids running around saying, "Oh, it's the Chinese virus" or whatever. Yeah. Again, I repeat, Asians are no more responsible for this virus than we are.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that. COVID is a horrible thing, and we're hoping that it's going to just get better and better, and no one's going to be sick anymore, and no one's going to die. Right now, the children are, coming down with this other virus that's apparently attached to COVID. Guys, just be, as Diana mentioned before, empathetic. Empathy is so important. It's critical. And if you see someone being bullied on the street, in school, wherever, stand up and help them. Be that upstander, because then you're part of the solution and not the problem. You can easily go up to the bully if you feel comfortable and say, "Stop that now," and pull your friend Johnny or whoever away to a safe place. And again, if you're online, you can block, delete, never respond, and certainly report it, and tell your friend's parent if your friend is too upset to tell them. But we've got to watch out for everyone. We need to be upstanders. Really important. What else, Diana?
I do want to say this. All these dangerous behaviors are certainly concerning, but I would urge parents to remember that right now kids have no other way to connect with their peers. Mostly they have to do it online. Right. And largely what kids do online is really lovely. They're supporting one another and cheering one another up. Yeah. So I don't want there to be hysteria like it's just cyberbullying. I mean, it happens, but largely kids are connecting with people they already know to encourage them to collaborate on homework, to learn new things. Mm-hmm. And so those are the positive behaviors. We have to keep our eye on the ball and encourage more of that, and just be aware if and when this other stuff happens, and give kids tools. Kids are really resilient, and they're really smart, and they're really good at helping one another out.
They are.
So give kids the tools so that they can help each other. And
right.
I'll share a really lovely story about that. One of the schools that teaches cyber civics up in Northern California contacted me because they were really concerned about their really young third graders, fourth graders going online for the first time doing homework and not sending inappropriate emails, just being kind of dumb like you would be when you're in third or fifth grade. Right. So what they did is they had their eighth graders who had taken 3 years of cyber civics become their digital mentors, and they gave them each a kid that they would mentor and say, hey, when you do email, this is what you should do, and you shouldn't text people late at night because da-da-da.
Right.
And so I love to see that, where kids are actually getting this information and helping the younger kids. And so what I would say, if you're at home with multiple ages, have your older ones counsel the younger ones, because chances are your preteens and teenagers have seen some things that they don't want their younger siblings to have to experience.
Exactly. We have a question. What if your child is an upstander and it leads to being targeted because of that? You want to take that?
Yeah, I just go back to how powerful it is when I'm able to teach what it means to be an upstander to a whole classroom of kids, because there would never just be one upstander. One upstander would happen and peers would stand up with that upstander. Right. And so that is such a good reason why kids need to be taught these skills in school, because it shouldn't have to be one poor kid. I mean, there should be 10 kids or 20 kids or 30 kids that stand up to one person who's being cruel online.
Totally. I think the more kids that join together to stand up, we're going to just, get rid of this bullying and cyberbullying is different online, but the bullying, because kids are tired of it. We did a survey a couple of years ago about kindness, and kids they all said, no one's kind. We all need to be kind. We all need to help each other. And if you don't stand up for another kid, what if something happens to you and no one stands up for you?
What goes around comes around.
Right. Right, exactly. It's just really tough. But if the upstander is being targeted for any reason, I would say they should get help immediately. Go to an adult, or if there's someone around. I mean, I know kids are constantly videotaping all this stuff, and that's not always the best thing. I mean, on one hand, it's good because you have proof. On the other hand, it goes viral, and then the kid who's being bullied is bullied even worse. Um, there are some parents who actually go on some of these sites and say, my kid is being bullied, and the kid is next to them sobbing hysterically. Well, you know that that child, when they go back to school or their group or community, is just going to be bullied even more. So we need to take a different approach. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I feel like a broken record, but I think the approach is education. You know what I mean? I mean, I think kids need to be on the same page. It's great right now. We're talking to adults and saying these are the 3 steps you take. This is enough standard. All that stuff needs to be taught to kids, and so that they're all empowered with these skills to help out each other. Because, bottom line is they're alone online most of the time, and there's no adult there to step in and help. So they've got to help each other, and they can only do that if they know what to do.
Right.
If they don't get those skills in school, that's why I go back to like my wish list of like social media companies should educate. Somebody should be telling kids these really simple strategies. I've seen so much online hurt averted because of some simple skills. It's just ridiculously easy.
Right.
And the fact that we're not taking time to teach kids this really easy steps or stuff is just incredible to me.
It really is. I mean, I know parents are busy. You work, you take care of your home, you do 9 million things as a parent. But you've got to protect your kids, whether it's in the schoolyard. Now they're not in school. Maybe when all this lockdown is lifted, they can be out in playgrounds, yards, whatever. But it's still online. And so you need to explain to them. And maybe, like when you see a nasty post, think about it before you even think about responding, because you shouldn't respond. If someone sends you a nasty post and says, you are so ugly, I can't stand you, no one else likes you, I wouldn't answer that.
Right. And that's what
inclination is to want to answer it.
But Ross, that's why it's so powerful to teach kids about their digital reputation first.
Right.
Because they have that understanding that everything they post will shape who they are and how other people view them. And so at least they'll have that little bit of information in their head, hopefully, when and if they ever experience online cruelty.
No, it's very, very true. The more education at home and in school, and it starts with the parents, goes into the school, and hopefully it's going to be online in their classrooms as well. Some teens do come forward and tell a teacher, not all. Some teachers don't take it seriously, some schools don't. But don't stop there. Go to someone else. Go as high as you can, the principal, whoever. And if it doesn't work, then certainly go to your parents so your parents can speak to the school.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking that's actually how Civics was founded at our little school 10 years ago, because there was a cyberbullying incident that they took to the principal, and he was a super proactive guy and said, look, this is not acceptable. What can we do? And we devised this program to deal with this problem. So, I mean, it's like that's the dream that you wish every educator would have, that kind of farsight and be proactive and get ahead of these problems instead of letting them happen and doing nothing about it.
Right. Right. Can you mention more about your website for the Cyberwise and Cyber?
Yeah. Well, we have a website for parents called Cyberwise, and cyberwise.org. We have all kinds of information, but that's where parents can go if they want to download the technology agreement. It's under our learning hubs. We have learning hubs on every topic. And then our cybercivics.com curriculum is at cybercivics.com, and it's a curriculum for middle school. But we also have free lessons on there for families right now. We have some really fun lessons on being a community, which is so important right now during COVID. We have a family version of our program, and there's a lot of information there. And then in my book, Raising Humans in a Digital World, every chapter finishes with 3 or 4 activities and lessons that parents can do at home with their families. So I would really encourage parents to pick it up. It's pretty cheap. Pick it up and get a whole bunch of lessons to do.
It's a good book.
You know what makes it good is I interviewed so many awesome experts like you, Ross. I think there's 35 digital experts in there that I got the latest thinking and data on all this stuff. So I really appreciate people that contributed like yourself.
Thank you. It's important, it's like, to me, being on the internet with kids, it's like the Wild West frontier. And there are so many different changes every single day. It's hard to keep up with it. Yeah. So, keeping up with it, especially now, I mean, if kids are here in New York City, they're like me. They're in their apartment, like I'm bouncing off the walls, and I'm sure they are as well. For those who have a backyard, it's a lot easier. Maybe if you have a fence and 6 feet away is your friend who you can talk to, that makes it a little bit better. And of course, FaceTime. But then after you can't be on FaceTime 24/7. So during this time, you've got to get creative in talking to your friends, maybe texting them, whatever. But really watch out, because cyberbullying does happen on texting as well. And right. People should know that. So.
Right. And you brought up another good point. I mean, the anxiety that we're feeling, it's double or triple with kids. Kids, imagine, this is a very anxious, scary period. Mm-hmm. We haven't even gotten into news or maybe the misinformation that they're reading online. So, I go back to one of the lessons I talked about. Behind every screen is a real person with real feelings. I mean, that anxiety comes out in different ways with different children, and that could contribute to this lashing out online. So
totally,
we have to be so mindful of just all the stuff going on in the teenage and preteen brain, and right. A lot of that coming out online. And just remember, these are kids. And
there's anxiety. Some kids have panic attacks. Right. It's not an easy time. And so when you have this computer that was founded to do wonderful things, or your desktop or your laptop or your phone, I mean, use it responsibly. And parents, if your children are not taught how to be responsible online, they do need to be. And you can read more of that in Diana's book. I don't know if we have any more questions. We do. Oh, we don't, but it says, visit cyberbullying at www.cyberwise.org and cybercivics at https://www.cybercivics.com. And of course, you can reach us at stompoutbullying.org. We have a lot of programs for kids. We have a help chat line. So if your kids are needing to speak to someone and if they're between the ages of 13 to 24, and they really are not feeling great about what's going on with the bullying, please it's not for adults. It's only for kids 13 to 24, and please have them visit our help chat line.
That's a great service. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's such an important thing for kids to know about.
Thank you.
It should be on every social media network.
Yeah, it's really good. I just want to thank you so much. You're a friend, a colleague. We did this last year with the New York Jets. It was great. And I'm sure we'll do more. And I just adore you and thank you. And I hope
likewise.
Thank you.
Likewise, Ross. Thank you for having me, and keep doing your good work.
You too. And I hope the rest of your day just goes by and is beautiful.
You too.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You can tune in next week when we'll be speaking to Dr. Andrew Orden, who actually had the COVID virus. He's from the TV show The Doctors. And we will be talking about COVID and kids. So please tune in at the same time. And I thank you all for joining us.